So yesterday was a good day, but not for this bloke, I'm afraid.
So, yeah, tell me about this disappointment you had with salesmanship.
Oh, okay. I got a connection request from someone. This bloke, I'm not going to name him. And I looked at his profile, and he actually does. They do printed, handwritten direct mail at scale. So they've obviously got machines or something. So it's not just printed handwriting font. I think it's properly written, probably with a plotter or something. So I thought, okay, this looks interesting. And he says in his intro message something like, "Look to connect. I think I've got an idea." And I'm thinking, this is going to be a sales pitch. And I don't mind. Let's be very clear about this. I don't mind being pitched to. I mean, I'm a salesman myself. And also, the idea that people don't like to be sold to is untrue. It's incorrect. People do like to be sold to. They don't like to be sold at. If I've got a problem and I genuinely believe you possibly have a solution and you're asking me the right questions, I'll talk all day. Because I'm thinking this could be it. This could be a solution to my problem, whatever it is, whether it's a toothache, fucking gammy eyes, gammy leg, or whatever, overweight, doesn't matter. But when people come to me and start selling at me, ignoring me completely what I'm saying and just telling me how great their product is, well, that's different. So no, we don't like that. Anyway, to continue. So I connected with this guy and I sent my usual message. And then at the end I says, well, what's this idea? Knowing full well what it was. So he came back with a voice note, again, which I don't mind. Some people hate them. I actually like voice notes. I can't send them on LinkedIn because I don't have it on my phone and it's not going to be there either. So I listened to this voice note and I didn't really pay attention to it. And he just said what he did and stuff. And he said, you do direct mail, because it wasn't complicated. And then he said, I was thinking we could perhaps collaborate. Well, of course, I really fucking hate it when salespeople talk about collaborating. No, you want me to buy something, and that's fine. But please be fucking honest about this.
Yeah, no.
It's not a collaboration. This is me paying you to do a service. Fine. So I went back and I recorded a loom. And I said, I hear what you're saying. But I've got a question for you, and that is, does your stuff use a stock handwriting font, or do you digitize your client's handwriting? That is important. That's critical. That's what I said and sent it off. He came back with a video himself. Again, I ain't got a problem with that. Not in principle, anyway. So I listened to this video. I was making Sarah's lunch at the time in the house. So I started listening to it, and it was probably about 5 minutes long, and I'm 2 minutes in, and I just stopped watching it. Because you know what he's doing? He's trying to tell me how great his product is. I've asked a single question. I want an answer to it. So he's not even doing the usual thing about asking me a question about my question. Why is that important to you? Yeah,
that's immediately where my where my mind went.
He's going like this guy. We've got it comes on envelope. We've got this, so you can see it looks like real handwriting. Unless you hold it up to the light, like looking for a counterfeit. Well, that actually rather than rang an alarm bell. That's probably not written by a pen then. Because if it was written by a pen, it would have an imprint. So it's just printed font. I don't know. And it's saying like envelopes. We've got 20 fonts, and it's really good at getting these results, those results. So I just stopped the video. So I replied to that video. I just said, what's the answer to my question? And he came out saying, I thought I answered it in my video. Then he sends another voice note, which I haven't listened to.
Oh, so
I went back in the video and I skipped forward. And right at the end, this is what really fucking got my goat. Right towards the end, it says, we do, or we can digitize clients' fonts. There is an extra cost to that, of course, but you won't need it. It's not necessary. And it carries on. I thought, I told you it was critical, and you're just dismissing it. So I went back and says, no, I'm not interested. Thanks. Then he came back with a voice. That's when he came back with a voice. First he says, I'm confused. Didn't answer the question in the video. Then he came back with a voice note, whining. I'm confused. I answered everything. I don't get why you're not, you don't want to go ahead or anything like that. Like something like that. Didn't really listen to the voice note. I just played the first couple of seconds, turned it off. So I went back and I said to him, I'll read it out to you. Hang on a minute. I said to him, I used his name and said that you sent me a video trying to sell me your stuff rather than answering my question. I stopped watching the video because it was a sales pitch focused more on you and your product rather than asking me questions and solving my problems. You have a hammer, and it seems you see everyone who's using direct mail as a nail. We have low volume, high quality direct mail. We're fine as we are. Please don't message me again. You know what you did?
Message you again.
Message me again. So I blocked it.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
To you listeners, you might be thinking, you grumpy old bastard, John. Yes, you're absolutely fucking right. I'm a grumpy old bastard. I get particularly grumpy old bastardy when you ignore my questions and then ignore my instructions not to message me. What does he think that's going to do? Shame me, bully me, browbeat me, badger me, harangue me into buying from him or recommending him to my clients who use direct mail? Fuck off. I wouldn't touch him with a stolen dick. Because it's not just about his sales process, people. That's bad enough. That's appalling. That can be fixed. Not a problem. Okay? I charge him a lot of money to fix it, but we can fix that for him. What bugs me, what bothers me, is a massive, great fucking red flag with a huge, great cock hanging off it, is if he's not listening to my questions and my concerns now, what will he be like when I'm paying him money? And something's not right. Attention to fucking detail. If you're disregarding my needs, wants, and desires now, what are you going to be like when you've done your bit and made the sale and I'm on board and I'm just another fucking statistic in your ledger? You know? Please don't sell like that, people. When someone says to you, I've got this question, it's critical, ask them. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Just curious, why is it critical? What's the reasoning? You know?
Difference between seduction and rape.
Fucking hell. So he's probably now sitting there thinking, oh, again, this guy blocked me. He's probably posting about me saying what a wanker I am. And he's not wrong. I mean, I am a wanker. I don't fucking deny it for a moment. Seriously. But that is the worst possible way to sell. And here's the thing. Have you noticed there's a common thread here? There was him. There was those two data companies that I spoke to.
Mm-hmm.
One's a big one in Canada. It's $1 billion corporation. And the other one's a smaller one in the UK. All three of them committed the same cardinal sin. When I said I wasn't interested after being subjected to this fucking unreasonable selling pressure, they turn it around and try and turn it on me. This is about me being awkward, obstreperous, confused, no good at sales myself, so I don't trust myself to sell using their data. They turn it on me. They don't stop for a moment to think, okay, what have I done wrong here? Why is this guy who was being quite friendly to me suddenly saying, okay, I'm not bothered, I don't want to talk to you again, I'm not interested? And it's not up to me to explain it. I don't care. I'm not interested in their fucking friendship or approval. I'm not here to educate them either. They want to know they can fucking pay me. How many sales do you think they're losing because of this? And the people who are not buying from them don't even know why they're not buying from them. They just don't get a good feeling about it.
Do you know what it is?
And I can articulate it because I understand the process. Someone who doesn't understand the process will just get a fucking gut feeling of no thank you.
I think that's really common in companies where most salesmen are reluctant salesmen, first and foremost. And most people in sales actually aren't that experienced with sales. There's a massive churn rate of salesmen within an industry, which in turn leads to companies that need mass markets in order to make the economics work for their business. They resort to scripts. And the problem with scripts is it completely disregards that the customer's an individual and may have individual requirements. And even if they don't, scripts are still bad because they just tell you to disregard whatever the customer says.
Fucking transactional, isn't it?
It's completely transactional. And another thing is salesmen become jaded. They become calcified. So I actually imagine you're the first person to ask that question, at the very least within a very small minority because of your experience within direct mail. But salesmen become calcified to the questions that they get asked all the fucking time because they hear it all day. And it's almost like their brain has to block it out. I can't deal with all of these fucking questions, especially the same questions over and over and over again. So they almost pretend like it doesn't happen. They treat it as unimportant.
They've got a hammer. I don't care what kind of nail it is, but it's a nail, and we can hammer it flat or hammer it in. You know, it beggars belief they can be so ignorant, and I guess it's ego. They if they were to stop and think, okay, what did I do wrong there? It's not just a question of I've made a mistake. It's because they're doing it all the time. So it's my entire skill set in sales is flawed and I've been doing it wrong all this time. Remember that client of ours who joined us and then within 2 weeks said, everything I've been doing in selling is complete dog shit for the last 20, 30 years.
And then they went to hit 10 out of 10 in a row, 10 or whatever it was.
It's 10 out of 10, but I think 2 have dropped out. So, but he still made the same. But even so, that's even better than mine, and mine are fucking epic. So, I think if the alternative, if they've got 2 choices, they can either blame the prospect for being awkward, stupid, confused, unfriendly, whatever, wanker, okay, grumpy old bastard, don't give a shit. They can do that, or they can take a look at themselves and say, actually, what did I do wrong there? Okay, I didn't ask any questions. I ignored him. I didn't listen. I tried to railroad him. Fucking hell, I'm doing that all the time. Everything I know about sales, and I might be doing for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, has been wrong. I've got to change. But what's easiest? Blame the prospect. Much easier.
Well, this is why the monthly sales meetings in every company ever, when the head of sales or the head of company sits down with the sales team and goes, guys, didn't hit our numbers. What happened? Every salesman goes, fucking leads were shit. Leads were shit. You've got me shit leads.
I mean, that's what
they say.
You can get shit leads. Of course. Now, compare that experience I had yesterday with the one I had the week before when we were getting some legal stuff done. So and this is a tale in itself. I mean, we talked about this on the community call. I saw this lawyer online, he's an ex-lawyer, set up himself, he does contracts for small businesses. I saw his posting online on LinkedIn, and it was accidentally classic direct response. Here's what I do, here's what I don't do, get in touch. I said to Holly, look as a call. Right? I hadn't read any of these guys' posts. There wasn't even a connection with him. So we spoke. We were supposed to speak at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. He then emailed Holly, says, can we change it to 3? Yeah, fine, 3 o'clock. Get on the Teams call at dead on 3 o'clock. By 3:30, and he's giving me a rundown of what he does. He's asked the questions, what we're doing. He asked some damn good questions. And he says, right, he told us how much it was, terms and conditions. I said, yeah, go ahead. And invoices up front will pay up front. He nearly fell off his chair. He says, oh, really? I said, yeah, just invoices will pay up front. I said, this is what we teach and this is what we do. We're not hypocrites. So in 30 minutes, he got us as a client. Because he asked questions, he could do what we wanted him to do. He listened to my answers and my questions. Yeah. And the crucial thing here is, guess what we didn't have? The R word. What's the word, Connor?
Relationship. Sorry.
Yeah. We didn't have a retard. We didn't have a relationship. So this bollocks about, you got to put content out there all the time on LinkedIn and you've got to get people to know, like, and trust you is bollocks. I knew exactly what I wanted. And here's the crucial thing. He was selling to my problems. I got a problem. We have a problem. Well, we got something we wanted to get fixed. And he convinced me in 30 minutes he's the man to do it because he answered my questions and asked me questions. I mean, proof positive, you don't need to fucking post loads of shit and have a relationship. 2 completely different styles and 2 completely different outcomes. Now, the lawyer guy, actually, I could say his name. I don't want to say his name. Let's promote him, shall we? Sam Wakely. Sam Wakely. I think that's his name. Sam Wakely. Charming guy, smashing guy. The only downside is he's a brummie. If you can get past the arson, you'll be fine.
John, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah. Oh, Sam Walkley. Beg your pardon. Sam Walkley. Walkley. Really nice chap. Easy to work with. My kind of guy. The other guy, I won't mention him because I've been saying nasty things about him. But 2 different outcomes. And they probably think, if they were to get together in the pub and say, I spoke to this guy, John McCullough, and this guy, one of them would say, he's a really nice chap, helpful, friendly, outgoing, paid us up front. The other guy would say, fucking hell, the one I spoke to was a right cunt. Must be 2 different people. They would probably think of 2 different people.
Must have caught.
But I was only reflecting back to them, really, the way they behaved towards me.
I mean, if someone disregards you, you're going to disregard them.
Yeah. He didn't just ignore the question either. He disregarded it. He went out of his way to say, "Here's what you want, not important. You won't need it." He didn't ask me why is it important. And we have got some damn good reasons for it. It's not just arbitrary. You know, we like my handwriting. I fucking hate my handwriting, but it's important for us to use it.
And do you know what? The worst part? I reckon he would have been trained. If you get asked a question by a prospect, you say what the script says and then you answer it at the end, because it forces them to listen to whatever you've got to say to get the answer to their question. That is rape.
Is that a thing?
I've heard shit like that in sales. Many.
I mean, I've never really done any sales training.
No, but before I answer that question for you, let me tell you more about our product, and then I'll get to it at the end. It's that sort of style, you know. That's classic foot in the door salesmanship.
Oh man, I feel like I just sicked up a little bit in my mouth, you know. I was talking. Who was I talking to about this? Can't remember. It might have been on the community call last week about. Oh, I know. It was one of our clients who I was doing some private work with him about just answering a question about. He's trying to sell to a very highly trained sales guy. It's actually the one you phoned and he says, "You can if you want." Remember him? Yeah. He's trying to sell him some fitness stuff. And I said, "Well, look, the thing when you're trying to sell to a properly trained, well-trained, skilled salesman like me or this guy," I says, "it's often worth your while to say, look, we both know how the game is played. Can we stop?" And let's have a proper conversation.
Yeah.
Because when someone tries to sell me, I don't mind being sold to. But if you try to sell me badly, it really does hurt you. It's excruciatingly painful for you. If you try to sell me well, I enjoy the process, but I will still stop you and say, look, let's not do this because I ain't got time for it. I'm enjoying it, and you know, but I don't need to do it, and you don't need to do it either.
Yeah, I wish I did that on the call. I didn't do that on that call. Basically, we were like, but it was typical two salesman meeting, because I was like, I guess you're going to hear from me like ever again. And he was like, well, if you want. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get all desperate. So I was like, well, I've probably done. He was like, well, if that's what you want. I was like, well, it's what I'm going to do.
The guy yesterday, he says, "Oh, I'm thinking." And I said, "Okay." Thinking, just thumbs up. I thought, "Okay, you'll play the game." "Oh, I guess we're done then." No, here's my address.
But I refuse to be that person. No. So I imagine the type of guy he is, he'd probably enjoy the type of shit that we sent him.
Yeah.
But it's like two children, like out of principle. No, he took my toys, so I'm not going to talk to him, even though I really want to play with our toys together.
I do understand people who don't like sales, because they're taught to sell the way this guy tried to sell to me yesterday. So for them, they take an adversarial approach, you know, and it's almost a zero-sum game. If he buys from me, I've won, and he's lost the money. Well, if you go into sales with that attitude, you will struggle, and you'll be painful, and it'll be unpleasant. And if you do, and when you do make sales, you won't have particularly happy clients. You'll have grudging clients. And they'll probably come back and they'll be difficult to please because they want more and more and more, because they'll feel a little bit like they've lost as well. So they want to get the save face. And it's not enjoyable. So I understand what people who think of sales in that way don't want to do it. But when you do it the way we teach it, it's actually fun. Holly has been doing it because she's doing some work of her own, VA work. And she's been on a couple of sales calls and, you know, DMs and things. She says it works so well. And she said, it's fun, isn't it? I said, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's not icky at all, because there is none of that fucking canned, scripted, ram it down your throat, I've got a hammer, show me your nail type stuff. It's nothing like that at all. It is fun and it's exciting and it's amusing. And sometimes the hardest thing is not laughing.
Well,
that's what I find anyway.
It's curiosity based, isn't it? Like if you go into that curiosity, you're like, man. So tell me more about that.
Well, having had this conversation, back to what you were saying before we started recording, am I more like my old self now?
Yes, you are. Also, people hold opinions because of experiences they've had. And let's be honest, John, most people, in whether they're the really icky sales type that make us feel sick and irritate us to our bone, or they're the overly excitable, still annoying, but they make you feel less sick, the really, great decision, that sort of type. Either way, they're childish. They're either childish in the way that they're overexcited and happy, or they're childish in the fact that they're stroppy and want to do what they want to do. That's 99% of what the vast majority of people would have experienced in the sales environment. Yeah. So that learned behavior over time is that, to be a salesperson is to be childish. And I've only ever had bad experiences in sales environments. So why would I want to, identify with that and put that label on myself? Salesperson? Yeah.
I do.
It's really interesting. I know you do. I'm saying it for the benefit of the listener. And this is, you probably didn't know this actually, but I was talking to a client the other day. And when I say this next part, I think you'll figure out who it is. They were really struggling with their angels and their demons, because obviously we preach, sell to people with money, go to the top of the market as rule of thumb. I was asking questions, I was digging away, and I pulled up some gems that are good to know about, their personality profile anyway. But then I stumbled across quite a big thing. After a good 5 minutes of interrogation, by the way, they've only ever had bad experiences when dealing with wealthy people, and when they look at the top 5 highest invoices they've ever had paid, they didn't particularly like any of them. 2 of them, in fact, they fucking hated. So they've got this learned behavior of, well, I don't want to sell to that person because I've only got bad experiences. And it's important, I think we all recognize that our opinions and whatnot come from somewhere. So if you hate, the idea of sales, is because you've only ever had bad experiences. Go to a brothel, you might change your mind.
Never been to a brothel. I've walked by several. I used to go to do a fair bit of work in Geneva back in the 90s, and there's a place called the Rue de Berne, and it's just full of fucking brothels.
Rue de Berne.
Brasses, eh? Rue de Berne.
Rue de Berne.
Rue de Berne. Rue de Berne. And
I bet it burned.
These lads were quite good looking, to be fair, but it's just not my kind of thing.
I probably a good month ago, I was in one of the touristy spots of Bali, and I was walking down the street late at night. I was looking for a shop, and I didn't know there was brothels down that street, but I got touched all over walking down this street. Honestly, I think they'd let me fuck them for free.
And that kind of happened to me, not quite the physical contact, but walking through King's Cross in Sydney, going back in the 90s. Prostitution was quite recently, I believe, legalised over there, and it was just full of brothels and hookers, and being solicited every fucking step. I don't mind. I'm not offended or anything, but it was just unusual, not the kind of thing normally happens to people like me. Not even 30 years ago. There used to be a place in Leicester. It's probably gone by now. There's a pub called the Baker's Arms? Can't remember that, but it was in Highfields in Leicester, and that's where you used to get your marijuana from. This is what my friends told me, in case Plod's listening. So you drive down this road, and I'm not joking, and this isn't racist, by the way, it's just an observation. You drive down this road, and all these black people would suddenly emerge from alleyways, knocking on your window, buying ganja. Fucking brilliant. And it was, although Highfields was quite rough, and most people probably wouldn't want to walk through there. Certainly then, I'm going back to the late 80s now, mid 80s. It was understood if you were driving down that road, you were safe because you were a customer. So nobody fucked about with the punters. So if you were walking down that road to score or you were driving down, you were perfectly safe because nobody fucked with the punters. It was great. And back then, it was. Now weed is a fucking minor thing, isn't it? But back then it was a serious deal. If you got caught with it, you were looking at juvenile detention if it was more than a very small amount.
What class is weed in the UK?
I think it's been decriminalised in some places. And even if it hasn't, there are certainly some places where the police have turned a blind eye to it. Because quite right, they've got bigger fucking fish to fry. Now, I'm a libertarian, so I'm completely against any kind of prohibition on drugs anyway.
So I know that in various US states, it's decriminalized and is actually grown and sold by the government. And that's expanding. I'm pretty sure Canada is now. I know Thailand is. Portugal. And Portugal's decriminalized, but you can't sell it. Amsterdam's got weird rules around weed. I'm pretty sure that it's legal to sell in cafes, but to carry it in public with intent to sell, even if you're selling wholesale to cafes, you're technically breaking the law.
I think
literally, like one of those old laws that's never changed.
Florists are allowed to smoke it either, are they?
So they are. Pretty well.
I'm sure that's what I read. Anyway, regardless. So, I think we've gone off topic a little bit, so let's finish, shall we?
Just a tad. It's Class B in the UK. It got bumped up from C.
Oh, I'm against drug controls. Anybody who knows me knows that. Well, let's face it, right? Drugs have been subject to prohibition for how long? Certainly since I was a kid and probably decades before that. Decades and decades. 100 years, maybe? 18 years? I don't know. It doesn't work. No. If prohibition worked, you wouldn't be able to get it. And even in places like Singapore and Malaysia and Saudi Arabia, where you've got the death penalty for drug smuggling, they still do it. It doesn't stop it. It just doesn't. I mean, when are they going to learn this? And every fucking successive government, we're going to get tough on crime, tough on drugs. They've been saying that since I can remember. And they get tougher and tougher and tougher on it. And guess what? It makes no fucking difference whatsoever. But when you legalise it, like they do in Portugal, all of a sudden things like addiction rates and everything else and crime goes fucking plummets. Talk about emotional fucking knee-jerk reactions to things, not critical thinking. Christ. And then there are those people who really do believe that the Tories and Labour are in any way different.
Oh, that's another can of worms. John. We have no listeners at this point, so why don't you talk to yourself and pretend someone's listening and to tell your imaginary friends where to go, because no one's supposed to be listening.
Yeah, if you want the book, wellfedbusiness.com /book, BWK. And if you want to get in touch with us, talk about working with us or get personal one-on-one advice from either of us or both of us, then it'd be 2-on-1, I suppose. That'd be holly@wellfedbusiness.com. Now fuck off and go and sell something.
Ciao.